Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mando. I'm your host, Armando Ortega, or as others may call me, Darth Mando. No, I mean, I use that as a nickname for my Instagram, but I'm your host, Armando Ortega. I hope everybody's doing incredible today. If you had to go to work, I hope your shift went well. And if it was difficult, take a load off. Hopefully tomorrow's your day off. If not, that day will come soon. For those who work graveyard, well, at the time recording this, you're either already into your shift or you're about to get there. So I hope the rest of your shift goes incredibly. There's no trouble tonight. It being Sunday night, Monday morning, should be fine. I've been doing pretty good. You know, these past 2 days been solid, up and downs, but still moving forward. Mentioned last episode that I was thinking about one of my old friends I haven't talked to in a while, and then I decided to hit him up. And when I did, and he answered, caught up, talked about podcasting, talked about video games, talked about everything that's going on in our lives, and we're still keeping in touch now. But that wasn't the only thing that recaptured my attention, tapped into the part of my brain that holds very fond memories. The other thing I rediscovered is my love for the Elder Scrolls Online. If anybody has played the Elder Scrolls Online, love it or hate it. A lot of people hate it, and in the beginning, very understandably so. But now with all the tweaks, with all the changes, all the updates, everything, it's pretty good. I don't really play MMOs. Like, even when RuneScape was a huge thing when I was in middle school, never really played it. It just really wasn't my thing. Not that I wasn't interested in it. It just, other things really took my interest more. But this is officially my first MMO that I played. And I enjoyed it, I like how the angle, the timeline that it brings us to. And, you're a fan of all the other Elder Scrolls games. It's awesome. But the most recent one, Skyrim, and I say recent only because it keeps getting remastered and re-released over and over and over again for the past decade. It released originally in November 11th of 2011, and it's just been an iconic, it's the type of video game that decades and decades and decades, however advanced video games will get, you will have the older generation at that point look back at Skyrim with such fondness. Everybody remembers what they were doing, where they were at, how old they were in that part of life when they first picked up Skyrim from GameStop, because this is still when video games were very much picked up at GameStop, and went home and just put that disc into their 360, PS3, or maybe just got it off of Steam or whatever, and just played it. I remember what I was doing. It was fun. Skyrim is just one of those timeless classics. You could have the best graphics in the future, best storyline, best gameplay experience, but Skyrim will always be perfect the way it is, even with all the glitches. And I'm speaking on behalf of vanilla Skyrim too. In the background, you're going to hear, in theme, the Elder Scrolls Online soundtrack. It's very good. It's just been getting so much. I've been loving it so much. Well, I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online again, just catching up with everything. Like, I downloaded all the updates again. I got all the expansions, that I didn't play because I hadn't played it since 2018. Yeah, it's been like 4 years, basically. Me and my buddy, the one I spoke to again, we used to not get home till, he used to get home at 12:30 in the morning. I used to not get home till 1. We used to play till 5 a.m. And this dude's a more hardcore gamer than I am, because this fool stayed up for like even later. So it's just like, of course, him, he got farther a lot more. He got a lot more stuff. He was able to do a lot more than I was, because given my time and everything like that. So yeah, so, you know, that's just how it is. Anyways, ESO is great. One thing that I wanted to find out is this: ESO is fun for me because, for me, I love story. I love lore. I love the plot. I love that in open world games and RPGs, you just have an open world with countless quests. ESO is that, but even more, you know? And I think it was just Arena where you could explore all of Tamriel, but, you know, it was just randomly generated the same thing over and over again when you were traveling from point A to point B. But this time in ESO, you could travel from Skyrim to Hammerfell, from Hammerfell to how do you call it? What is that place called? Elsewhere to Black Marsh to Morrowind. You can travel all that, and every time you walk from one place to another, it's just a unique pathway filled with side quests, with adventures, with everything. And there's just more coming. The only thing I don't like is, because Skyrim was the first Elder Scrolls game I've played. Because of Skyrim, you know, I played Skyrim for so long, I recognize the ins and outs, the ups and downs of the entire map of Skyrim. I could walk from point A to point B, whatever you know, location, without having to use a map. I just know where to go at this point. And I was like, I want to see how similar things are when I explore them in ESO. And I did it. I'm glad to see how Windhelm is similar, yet different. Same thing. Solitude is almost identical to how it is in Skyrim. Markarth, you could see that at this point, the Forsworn, the Reachmen, are in control of the Reach. You know, you have the rich history right there, the tense history between the Nords and the Reachmen. And then you can go to Riften and the Falkreath hold. The only thing that they don't have, and I do not like this, but, you know, it is what it is right now, hopefully they add it in the future, is that you can't go to the Whiterun hold. You know, you can't see Whiterun, you can't go to Whiterun or anything at that point. I don't know why. Maybe they'll explain in the lore, but you can hear about Whiterun in passing through dialogue, and that's it. It's not like you can see it in the distance, because in Skyrim, a cool Easter egg people found was that in Skyrim, if you no-clip out of the, I want to say, the southeastern portion of the map, you know, where Riften is at, if you clip out of that area, you will be able to see the, what is it? The White Gold Tower? Yeah. For the Empire, for the Imperials and everything. And that's to show that the world expands beyond Skyrim, even though you're only supposed to stay in Skyrim at the moment. And that's a cool, nifty little thing. But there's nothing like that in ESO with, you know, Whiterun or anything. That not even like, you know, you can't pass this area, but look off in the distance, you can see Whiterun over there and everything. Maybe in the future. No, none of that. And it sucks. That part sucks. But everything else, it's beautiful. It's fun. It plays differently. It looks different. It's so much different, and I enjoy it because it's supposed to take place 1,000 years before the events in Skyrim. So you can see that even though a lot of it does look similar, you can see how different it used to be, because how with time everything in video games and in life change. They keep changing. It's never going to be just one way all the time. So yeah, it's just a little fun fact, and you can hear the music in the background. I feel like it's a perfect volume. It's great. It's nice. I'm sitting here. I just finished eating a PB&J. I was playing Power Washer Simulator with my homie on Xbox just earlier and everything, and it was fun. Like, it was really, really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I was doing that, but what do you call it? My lady's out working, and I figured, you know what? I gotta go to bed soon, like probably in an hour. And so maybe I'll just make this short podcast because I really want to speak. There's a lot of things I want to speak about, but I don't think I'm going to take too long for this episode. One thing I got to say though is Power Washer Simulator, it has its charm. I enjoyed it and everything. We did some stupid stuff, but yeah, it was pretty fun. Got off, started setting up and started talking here and everything. And something that came into my mind that I really realized how much I enjoyed more than I thought I would was that I don't have a set schedule when I do these episodes. Sometimes it's something that I plan, but sometimes it's just spontaneous, like tonight, but either way, I do them. Most of the times that I do them, though, it's in the morning or the afternoon when, the sun is up, it's high, it's out, people are out taking care of business, working, shopping, yada, yada, whatever. But everything's up, bright and alive. Right now, it is 9:35. It being 9:35, I was just like, it feels different. So I heat up some water. I got my tea, my Bay Area fog and everything with lavender and orange. It tastes delicious, by the way. And I'm sitting here putting this music right here, which you guys are enjoying in the background. And I'm just talking. I'm not even talking as loud or as boisterous as I usually do. The mic is being held in my hand close to my mouth. I'm just talking soft. Well, at least what I think is soft. And it just has this different feel, You know what I'm talking about? It's just doing it when the sun's down, doing it when things are quiet outside now, where when I look out the window, the only thing I really see is either the trolleys passing by because they haven't finished running yet for the night, or the planes flying from wherever their destination was back to San Diego airport. And it just feels very good. It just feels very good, and I'm glad I'm doing this right now. I wish I could do it more in the evening, more often, but it's not in the cards permanently at this point. Something I wanted to talk about. It's not going to be a very serious political thing. It's just it's gonna be my thoughts and reviews of this sort of franchise, basically. Just the other night, not last night, the night prior, I ended up watching the movie Prey. That Hulu exclusive movie, the one that it's the first Predator movie since a few years ago, I think 2018 if I'm correct. And how do you call it? Yeah, I watched Prey. It is an incredible movie. Oh my god, it is so good. And I was watching it, and this episode's going to contain spoilers. I'll tell you all right now, flat out, it's going to contain spoilers. So if you're listening to this and have not watched Prey, I highly suggest go watch it first before you continue on with this episode. But if you just want to hear what I think about it, and just go ahead, do whatever you want. I'm not in charge of you. So I watched Prey. It was very. First of all, I love the time. It's the early 1700s. The early 1700s, and it's just things weren't as established when the Europeans came over to the Americas or anything like that. Things weren't land was still lushful, green, wild, everything like that. Natives were everywhere, and how do you call it? Let me check something real quick, just so I don't say this some dumb stuff and then just be oh my god, I'm dumb, because I get it, because the movie Apocalypto and everything, it's supposed to take place all with the Mayans. There's no Aztecs in there, but then a lot of people think that the Aztecs are the ones capturing the Mayans, and when in reality they were all just Mayans. And it's it kind of annoyed me, so correct them, so I don't want to get this wrong. So it's Comanche and everything. So it takes place with the tribe of the Comanche tribe and everything. Just hunters, and from what I'm understanding, is they have this ritual where they want to make somebody into an official hunter. They have to select a deadly animal, basically hunt something that's also hunting you. And it's pretty sick from the sounds of it. I have a buddy who, the same buddy I just talked to the other day, he killed a boar in Hawaii with just his hands and a knife. But it's pretty dope. So it takes place with that. That's the plot, and the whole thing is our protagonist is a female, and part of the Comanche tribe and everything. She doesn't want to fit in with the stereotypical like gathering stuff, making clothes, making the food, etc., etc., etc. She has the spirit to go hunt. That's who she is. So she wants to prove herself, and she practices and practices and practices every day, which is cool, You can see that she does have skills. She can handle her axe well. She ties a string to it. So like when she throws it, she's able to pull the string and pull it back to her instead of having to go get it or risk someone else grabbing it at the moment. And yeah, so she's talking to her brother, and initially I think someone in their tribe goes missing or gets attacked. One of those two things. I gotta rewatch it. I was kind of distracted at that point. But they go out because they believe it's a mountain lion or a cougar. It goes by many names. Puma also. Let's just call it a cougar. So what do you call it? So they believe it's a cougar. So they're gonna go out. They go out there and everything. It's the middle of the night. They have the bows, their axes, the arrows, the fires to light the way and everything. And they're trying to track it, and they're tracking it. But while they're tracking it, she notices that there's things that seem off, weird noises. She sees one of the most prominent thing is she sees a snake that has been completely skinned. The meat is still there, just the skin is taken away. And the spine and the head has been taken as well. And then she sees these odd like foot tracks. And she sees that there's a body up in the tree. And there's like, yo, what? Well, her brother and the rest, they're like, oh, it's a really big bear then. And she's like, no, why would a bear that size continue walking on its hind legs? And how could something like a bear skin a snake like that? How can it do that? They kind of question it, but they keep going. Anyways, it gets to the point where one of the guys from her tribe is like, he's being a jerk. Basically, he's like, oh, you think you can survive out here hunting this? Have you even hunted a lion? Yada yada. Which, by the way, I understand why they did it, but it still kind of bugs me because it's just like, dude, give people a shot. I was like, this girl is obviously taking things very seriously. She's not like just going like, la-di-la-di-la, I'm gonna go whatever I want and everybody else is gonna save me. No, she's taking care of herself. She knows what she's talking about. She's helping you guys track, Well, anyways, in the middle of the guy, talking mess and whatever, he gets pulled down. Turns out there was that cougar they were after. Cougar kills him, obviously. Element of surprise, the cover of darkness, just the fact that cougars are a lot more agile and muscular and powerful than humans, and they have literal knives on for claws and teeth. Then the cougar starts going after her. This is her time. This is her time to prove herself. She's been seeking this. This is her dream. She wants to show that she's a hunter and she can hunt something that is hunting her. So she grabs her spear, her axe, everything. She's up in the tree, and the cougar sees her, runs back, climbs up the bark, gets onto the branch that she's at, and slowly starts walking to her. This is her moment. Stab the cougar in between the eyes, stab it in the throat, stab it anywhere, make sure it dies. This is your moment to prove yourself. The cougar just gets closer and closer and closer. Things start getting quieter. She starts hearing her own heartbeat. She knows that it's now or never. Either she kills this cougar or it kills her. She ends up falling. She ends up falling and hitting her head against a stone on the floor. Later on, she wakes up back in her village in a tent. And what we find out is her brother found her and carried her back home and then went out for the cougar. She was like, no, I gotta go out there. I gotta go help him, yada, yada. It's like, yo, your brother carried you here. You were unconscious. And it's like, no, I gotta go, yada. It's like, are you sure? Anyways, her brother comes back with the body of Cougar in one arm and the head in the other. That's so badass, They think their problems is over. The reason she fell, though, is because she heard a noise, looked off in the distance, and saw something unusual. And that's when she got distracted and fell. So she knows something is happening. She goes out the next morning, goes out tracking, hunting, whatever, practicing with her axe and rope. That's when you see that, they're trying to paint her as like, she can do it, but she's missing rabbits. And she's not completely making hits 100% of the times or anything. She's still struggling, which is why, I don't want to say, oh, she's a Mary Sue. No, because, she's failing. She's struggling. She's scared. She's got knocked out and everything like that. It took someone else to save her. So no, she's not a Mary Sue. The only thing I found funny though, is like within the first 30, 40, 45 minutes of the movie, she should have died like 3 separate times and everything. She fell into like this mud hole that was dragging her down, and she was struggling to throw her axe and rope to catch something so she could pull herself out. But in the very last throw, she did, before she was succumbed to that mud pit and suffocated or drowned through mud, however the real term is. Then how do you call it? Then you have the other one with the cougar alone. When she fell, the cougar should have killed her, which is the second part. But if she fell and knocked her head on that stone like she did, it's very, very high probability that she would have died because of that impact of her head directly onto that stone. But she didn't. So that's 3 points. The fourth time actually was when she was out there and she noticed a bear eating. But because she was upwind from the bear, her scent carried down to where the bear was, and he was able to smell where she was. But eventually found her, started chasing her dog. I love that dog. The dog distracted the bear and had the bear chase him instead of go after her. Her bow string snapped. She had to retie it and everything. And the dog came running back, only to have the bear like following in the distance. She shot it with an arrow and then went running, because the bear isn't going to die from one arrow to the shoulder. No, it's going to keep going until it kills you and eats you, or just kills you. Well, anyways, it's the cool part, because when she starts going into the river and the bear chasing her, and then she dives underneath so she can go underneath some branches and wood and everything like that, the bear pulls away because the predator's there. And you get this really cool sequence where the predator is still camouflaged, but is just wrestling this bear. And the bear is dominating in the first part, just straight up using its strength, its size, its mass, its power and everything. Bear's dominating. But because it being a predator, predators aren't as fragile as humans. They're just strong. Predator gets up, bear's like, oh, you want a second round? Predator just absolutely annihilates that bear, and then picks it up, rips it open, and the only way you can see the predator is because the blood of that bear is just covering his face and everything. And let me tell you, this predator is so freaking cool. It's so cool and everything. One of the things that I heard people kind of talk crap about was the fact that the predator looked very different from all the predators in the past. But there's a reason for that. I'll get to that later. Even though it didn't really bother me. I actually thought the mask, simple, was actually way cooler than all the other predator masks that they had in the past. So anyways, she sees it because it's covered in blood, and she runs, and of course the predator gives chase, but she gets caught in a bear trap, and the predator sees her and then just walks away. Of course, French fur trappers are there and everything, knock her out, cage her up, and they're like, oh, you know what we're looking for, you need to help us and everything. They're threatening to kill her brother. They use them as bait for the predator because they don't know what they're hunting. They just know they need to hunt something that's hunting them. They end up getting annihilated in one of the best Best sequences ever. I'll try and edit this in here, but I doubt I'll be able to. But it's just, I gotta admit this right now. I not once, not even in passing, have ever seen any of the Predator movies ever in my life. At all. Not even like, I'm walking somewhere and someone happens to be watching it and I just see it for a few seconds. Not even that. I just never watched the Predator movies. I had no idea about any of the lore. I don't even know what happened in the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything. But everybody knows the famous line. Why? Because there's this band called Austrian Death Machine that sings a song called If It Bleeds, We Can Kill It. Actually, you know what? I'll put it on right now and you'll be able to hear it. And then I'll go back to this Skyrim music. But if you guys don't know about it, it's called the band is called Austrian Death Machine, and the lead singer is Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying and everything. And it's basically the whole premise of the band is if Arnold Schwarzenegger's and basically embraces his roles from the Terminator, Kindergarten Cop, True Crimes, or True Lies. There's a game called True Crime. Okay, True Lies, and the Predator, and just decides to make it metal. So listen to this. Okay, that was pretty loud. I'm gonna turn it down now because just listen. I'll turn it down because my record player and my speakers are not pressed up against the wall, but they're basically like an inch away from being pressed up against the wall. And on the other side of that wall is my neighbor's apartment. But being relatively new building, barely opened back in, let me change it. There we go. Back to the Elder Scrolls. Being an apartment that was barely completed its construction back in 2020, 2 years ago, these walls are good. Trust me. Like, I know that our neighbors get into arguments, but the only reason I know they get into arguments is because I'm coming home, or I'm leaving to throw the trash, and I hear it through their front door. Other than that, if I'm in my apartment, I can't hear them for crap. So yeah. Well, anyways, I'll keep moving. So in my head, it's like she says a line. She says, she was like, because they know the Predator's bleeding, but she says something like, I don't even think we can kill it. Like, we can't kill it. And in my head, automatically watching it without ever seeing any other Predator movie, just in my head immediately pops up, if it bleeds, we can kill it. and then her brother says it immediately after I think it. He's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And I was just like, oh my God, he said the line. He said it. And I was like, I keep saying it. Like, what's his name? The meme of Leonardo DiCaprio sitting down with a drink and a cigarette in one hand, and the other hand he's pointing at the TV or whatever. And then it's just like, oh, that was basically, I was going to say Peter Griffin, but that was only if the title of the movie was said during the movie itself. But so yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's how it was. And I was like, oh, and I don't know why I was fanboying over it, because I was just like, I've never watched any of the Predator movies ever, So I was just like, I don't know why I was kind of fanboying over that line. Probably because of probably just because it's an iconic line, So the Predator comes out and he's just slaughtering all the Frenchmen, and they're shooting at him. And here's the detail I admire the most, because 2022 is where prime CGI effects, green screens, and everything reside, and it's just absolutely thriving. I love how they took the time, because I think it was 2018 or 2019 when they were announcing that they were making a new Predator movie, which happened to be this one. And they took their time. It looks so realistic. It looks so good. And despite being early 1700s, where muskets were still a thing, were still one shot, where you had to shoot, it wasn't even guaranteed that your your lead ball was gonna hit where you were aiming it. But the fact that you had to put black powder, put the metal ball in, mush it down, open a side thing, put more black powder in it, then aim once it's already primed, and then shoot once, and then do it all over again. It still showed that making contact with the Predator, if those lead balls made contact to an area that was not covered in armor, the Predator was still a living creature that also felt pain, that can also be wounded, that it also bleeds. And I loved it. It didn't matter the fact that it wasn't the advanced technology that we have now in 2022, or the advanced technology that they had in the Sevastopol that supposedly is even further in the future and everything. The Predators are still living beings that can still be damaged, wounded, and killed. So, how do you call it? Of course, the Predator does whatever the Predator does. Super cool, super sick, and everything like that. The thing I noticed about this Predator is this Predator is a lot more savage. It's a lot more like crazier than the other Predators and everything like that. Because the other Predators, even though I haven't watched the movies, you could tell the other Predators are more organized and militarized. This guy was a lone wolf, and you know that's just what I noticed. Like the other Predator movies. And the reason I'm saying the other Predator movies, I'll explain it later. Just like the other Predator movies, it shows that even though the Predator is wounded, the Predator is prepared to heal the best he can whatever wounds he has sustained during his hunt, during his battles. Of course, all this craziness happened. The one guy who was able to speak to the protagonist, her language and everything, so they could understand each other, he grabbed her because he was missing a leg, and he asked her for help. Like, he really did ask her for help, you know, like, save me, please save me, and I'll show you how to shoot this gun. And she gave her a flintlock, and he's showing her, kept his word, how to shoot her and everything like that. Unfortunately, he still died. Something that I was kind of confused was the Predators have this thermal vision. It could detect heat and everything. But why is it that the Predator wasn't able to detect him, who he was clearly alive and everything, but you know, was still able to the Predator was still able to tell him that he was alive? Well, it was because if it wasn't for the fact that the guy moved when the Predator arrived, thus leaving a trail of blood, the Predator would have never found him. But because he moved, left that trail of blood, and the Predator was able to pick it up on his thermal, he was like, hey, that guy moved, he's still alive, and stabbed him and killed him and everything. But why wasn't that guy showing up in his thermal originally? Well, because they had this orange plant and everything that they chewed up, and throughout the movie, whenever you give it to people, whenever people were given it and everything like that, they would all say the same thing: I feel so cold, I feel so cold. Well, that was the secret. That's how you can get the Predator not to see you. By consuming that specific orange plant, you would appear cold, thus unable to be read on this Predator's thermal. And it was sick how they were doing that. Well, she used it to her advantage and everything. The rest of the movie was basically connecting stuff together, which was nice. The action sequences were incredible. The one between her and the Predator in that camp, but her brother comes along. It's just, oh my God. I really want to see it again. I'm going to, actually. Because I pay Hulu. Of course I'm going to watch it. It was amazing how it showed that the people, this tribe who have the warrior spirit, the hunting spirit, who fight other tribes, who fight to survive, who take the animals and, to benefit themselves and the tribe. How they use their tactics, their experiences, their abilities to fight this lethal predator who is also a warrior just like them from a different planet, who has technology that is far more advanced than the tribe. And it's the contrast. It's just what impressed me really. It was the whole fact that how do you call it? Despite one tribe of warriors, the Comanches, fighting with wood and stone, how do you call it? And then the predator having all these foreign metals and weapons and technology. In the end of the day, they are both warriors. They are both hunters, and they're both predators to an extent. And it's a beauty of seeing how two vastly different beings at their core are exactly the same. And it was just like, it was nice seeing that contrast, that they're both capable either way. So, how do you say it? So, in the end, she finds out exactly how his mask works and everything like that. And she manages to get him trapped in that mud trap that she was trapped in at the beginning of the movie, and use it to her advantage, set his mask up, realize that the lasers on his mask when he shoots his shoulder weapon and everything, although in this movie it's not a blaster, it's just metal spikes and everything, they go to wherever the laser's pointed at. So like if you point the laser towards your left but you shoot that machine on your right, those metal rods are going to shoot to the right but circle back to hit the target that's being pointed at the left. Manages to use that, defeat the predator, cuts the predator's heads off, and returns to her tribe. That was showing that she is not only capable of hunting, but she actually passed that ritual she needed to do in order to be shown that she's a true hunter, that she can be a leader of the tribe. And the fact that it wasn't even just a cougar, it wasn't just a bear, but it was a freaking predator. It was nice. It was really nice. The movie was powerful. The movie was entertaining, and it was just, in my opinion, it did do a good job fleshing out who the tribe was, who she was, and everything, without having to go all the way back to when she was born and trying to be like how her life was growing up. No, it's just, she's a grown ass woman. This is where she's at in her life. So, and this is what's happening moving forward. And it didn't suffer from basically being like, oh, look, everything's going for her way. Everything's going how the way she wants to have it go and everything. Like nothing's troubling her. She's better than all the men. She's better than everything and everything like that. No. It was like her resilience, her headstrong attitude, and her determination is what kept driving her forward no matter how many times she was been knocked out. And she had been knocked out plenty of times. And there's been times where she was so close to death, but managed to continue surviving through fighting and everything. And I enjoyed it. And that's a huge example as to how people, and believe me, this movie has received so much praise, so much incredible reviews, so much just appraisal to what the Predator franchise can be, how it can go. And it's like, it got to the point where a lot of people are like, hey, this is how Prey got the Predator right back on track, because it was such a good movie. And it's just, it shows that, and it wasn't pushing any agenda. That's the whole thing. It wasn't. Like, a lot of people could probably be like, oh, because she's a woman and she wanted to do a hunter's work, but that's usually for men. It's like, yeah, you can say that. But in tribes, women can still are still seen as capable part of the tribe. They're still being able to, even though not as to the level as frequent as men, they're still seen as people that can be capable. And she was capable. And yeah, she's been overpowered from time to time, but she was still able to keep pushing forward. And that's incredible. That is incredible. And the fact that her brother sacrificed himself for her and everything, it's just, she almost died, It's like she wasn't even good at everything. She missed her shots. She kept stumbling. She kept getting beat up and everything. It's just her resilience and determination is what kept her going forward. So yeah, it was a great ending. They didn't drag it out. They showed plenty of the Predator, and it was just a downright great movie. The only problems I could say I found from it was the fact that, yeah, she probably could have died in the first 30 to 45 minutes of the movie, but it's fine that she did it. And honestly, I was gonna say something about the Predator, but I spoke to my buddy about it today, and he was like, yeah, no, it could be just the fact that he's a subspecies of Predator, and not all Predators are united in one, because as we can see in the Predators movie, two different types of predators can still dislike each other and be against each other and want to kill each other. So, it could be just one of those things. The fact that the camouflage in Predators 1 and 2, whenever exposed to water, they short circuit and give out, and the predator's no longer camouflage. But in the Prey movie, the predator was dead ass in a lake, in a river, just completely covered in water, and his camouflage didn't even buckle, But yeah, it could be just because different species of predator, different tribe of predator, different technology. They just found a way to make it get better, What else? Oh yeah, so my original point, this shows how when you're not focusing on politics, whether it be about gender or race or pushing a woke message into entertainment or what's supposed to be entertainment, it shows how great a movie can truly be. Another movie that pushed just the fact that it wanted to be a good movie was Spider-Man No Way Home. That was it. They just wanted to tell a Spider-Man story, and they did just that. They just told a Spider-Man story. They didn't push a message or woke anything like that. They just told a Spider-Man story, and that movie was one of the greatest movies of all of 2021 and even 2022. And now you have Prey that just focused on being a good movie set in the early 1700s. And it's just receiving massive appraisal. And at that, the protagonist was female. Remember how people are saying, hey, Hollywood hates women, because people are sexist. People don't like seeing women thrive and succeed in life. Women are just seen as somebody who needs to stay quiet because men in Hollywood, they're all sexist. Yet you have a woman who was a protagonist, and this woman and this movie did incredible regardless of who was the protagonist. And yeah, so it just keeps showing. If you stop trying to push an agenda and a message and the woke mafia or whatever, and just focus on just telling a story, focus on just putting out something good, people are going to enjoy it a lot more. And cinema will keep surviving. And that's just my thoughts, Well, anyways, after watching Prey, I was like, it's time. It's time to really find out what's going on with the Predator, because I know there's Alien versus Predator, and I have the quadrilogy, which is Aliens, Aliens 2, Aliens 3, Aliens Resurrection, and everything like that. So I'm pretty caught up with the Aliens. I still need to see Alien Covenant and all that stuff. But I never seen the Predator. So I ended up yesterday watching the first Predator movie, which is actually fun. And let me tell you, 70s and 80s action movies are just a different level. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not overly exaggerated with the CGI. Even when it did have CGI, the CGI wasn't good compared to today's standards. But it was just like, it didn't matter. because they wanted to convey a message across. Hey, this predator is invisible. And even though the CGI didn't look great, no one cares. Because we got it. This predator is invisible. That's why they can't see it. You know? Oh, the blood is green. That's how you know this is not human. Oh, wow. Despite having all these futuristic weapons, this camouflage and everything, this predator is still living, breathing, and it still needs to get away, hide, in order to heal its wounds. Holy crap. You know? And majority of the time the predator was on screen, it was an actual costume with an actual person inside of it. It's something else. And it was mixed with just those 70s, 80s style macho men action stars and everything. And it was just like what's his name? Carl Weathers. This guy was jacked. He was jacked. I'm like, holy crap. This guy who plays Greef Karga in The Mandalorian, he played Dylan. And he was just jacked. And I was like, that's impressive. That's impressive. It's a man's movie, you know? That's all you can really describe the Predator movie. It's a man's movie. And it's so good. And then after we finished watching that, I ended up watching Predator 2, which I heard people say it wasn't that good. And I kind of am inclined to agree, but it still had a good visual effects. The fact that a lot of the stuff that happened there were props that were made for specific scenes and not just CGI'd, it's very impressive. And it still had that late 80s, early 90s feel to it and look. And it was great, you know? It was great. I still have to watch the other Predator movies, but so far I'm really enjoying myself. I'll even watch the bad ones, or the ones people say are bad. But it's just, I don't know. I ended up finishing watching Predator 2, and my lady came home yesterday and just sat down with me towards the end of Predator 2. And here's the thing. At the end of Predator 2, when, you know, what's his name kills the Predator, and then all the other Predators come out from being invisible, they take the body of the fallen Predator and they go back to the ship. But before they go back, one of the Predator gets a flintlock and throws it at the protagonist of the Predators 2. And let me tell you that the fact that I watched Prey first before watching Predators 2, again, Leonardo DiCaprio meme pointing at the TV with a whiskey and cigarette in one hand and pointing with the other. It was the same flintlock with the same inscription on the side from the movie Prey. Except for the fact that this movie Predators 2 came out in 1990 or 1991, and Prey came out, 30 years later? Or 29 years later? And it showed the accuracy of it. It's connected. It's all connected. Some people are saying Prey really just retconned a lot of the Alien versus Predator movies. I don't know. I got to see it for myself. But it was I guess you could say Prey was the callback to Predator 2. But, you know, it was great to see that all within the same 2 days. And I was trying to explain it to my lady because she was like, "Oh, why? What's going on? What does that mean?" And I was trying to explain to her. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna ruin the movie for me." I'm like, "You want to watch The Predator?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, we can rewatch one right now and everything." She's like, "No, another day though." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm gonna rewatch the Predator movies with her, and then we'll watch Prey. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. But I told her, if you want to watch Predator, we got to watch Aliens too. So that's going to be a thing. We're going to have a lot of things to watch the upcoming weeks. Yeah. Other than that, like I said, the Prey movie, very good. Very, very, very nice. And, that Predator in the Prey movie, it's called the feral predator. The feral, like feral cats and everything. Feral. Well, let me Feral, feral predator. That's the whole reason it looks different from the iconic predators that everybody knows. And that's the reason as to why it has different technology also, and why it sounds different, and why it carries itself different, not just face wise, but attitude wise, body wise, everything. It's a different subspecies of predator. And let me tell you, they did an amazing variation look for the feral predator. I love the mask too. It looks like bones. It just looks awesome. Oh man, I've been talking a lot about the Predator. This one. Oh man, really, just watch it. It's so great. Oh yeah, and I ended it last night by starting to replay Alien Isolation. I spoke about it a few episodes past, and let me tell you, it still really makes me nervous and scared, and I can't believe that I actually beat the game. The first horror survival game I've ever played, and I beat it. So yeah. Well, anyways, that's all that's really on my mind for right now. Like I said, it's not going to be that long of an episode, even though it's almost an hour, but not yet. And one last thing, when I was editing the other video, you can see that it's going to look different because, oh my god, it's because when I try and put the clips of the video games I play at the beginning, not all of them look as high quality as they should be, and I was wondering why. So I decided to change the settings and the quality settings before I imported the videos. And a video that long to export out when I finish editing, it should take like probably 2 hours max. This thing took me from 12 p.m. all the way to almost 10 p.m. It was way too long. It was, and I watched it, and it just wasn't good quality. The picture was slightly smaller. The resolution looked crap. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to find out how to go back to the old ways now. So hopefully this video, when I edit it, it's gonna be better, back to how it used to be. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the music in the background. I know it's a little like heroic right now and everything, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Mind of Mando. We talked a lot about the prey, about the predator, about ESO music, and I feel good. I'm gonna enjoy my tea right here while I'm editing this video, and I just gotta say thank you to every single one of you guys who stopped by, listen, whether you're going to sleep, whether you just want to kill some time on a drive, at work, etc., etc. Thank you for joining me. I have been your host, Armando Ortega, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you.